Hey guys, how's it going? It's Janie over here at Janie Sweets. Welcome back to my channel. In this episode, I'm coming at you with a tutorial on how I made this Batman or Gotham City inspired cake. So if you want to learn how I did this, keep on watching. This cake is in collaborations with some pretty awesome people. You have Rosie's Dessert Spot with a Venom cake. Cakes by Laura Lee made a Wonder Woman mermaid cake. You have Love Some Sweets who made a Captain America cake. Very Cherry Cakes made a Wonder Woman cookie sandwich, and More Cakes Yes Ma'am made a Black Panther glow in the dark cake. So definitely check these people out. I will leave everybody's link in the description box below. Starting out with some black fondant, I'm going to add some Tylose powder to it. Now if you guys are wondering what Tylose powder is, it's basically something that's going to make fondant act as if it was gum paste. So it's going to hold its shape a lot better than just fondant alone would. Now I'm not using white gum paste and trying to dye it black because it would never turn black. So I'm just using the black fondant and then adding the Tylose powder. It does the same thing. So I'm going to roll it out, not too thin. I want to say about the width that you would cover a cake with. And then I found this template online. I'm going to link for you guys where I found it because it is a game changer when you're trying to make a skyline, the New York City skyline. This makes the lights, of the apartment lights really perfect. Instead of trying to pipe everything by hand or trying to like guess where everything goes or cut out little pieces of fondant, you can just lay it onto your black fondant piece and then just scrape the excess with a bench scraper. And then once you lift it, this is what it's going to look like. So you're going to be sure to have consistent lines throughout. So once I was done with that, I'm just going to grab a pizza cutter and then cut off all of the excess on the sides, and then I'm going to cut each building independently. So just use your pizza cutter, just very roughly outline where you want to cut each building, and then just do that. And now for the pieces that were a little harder to cut with my pizza cutter, I'm just grabbing an X-Acto knife or a pen blade, and then I'm just going to trace around it. Now once I have all of my pieces dried and ready to go, it is time to start working on the cake. Now I have an 8-inch cake here. I'm going to insert some fat bubble tea straws just so that it supports the weight of the top tier. And then I'm going to use a piece of parchment paper to put at the bottom. You've seen me do this a number of times. Whenever I am doing a 2-tier cake or a stacked cake, I like to put a piece of parchment paper under the bottom tier or under the top tier just so that it makes it easier to lift off. So now this cake is chilled in the fridge overnight, so that's why I'm able to handle it the way you see me doing. Now I'm just going to grab my airbrush. If you don't have an airbrush machine, you can always do this using some buttercream and just kind of do like a gradient effect. But I'm using the colors yellow, navy blue, and then some black just to give it the illusion of a night sky. So going over it with the black just adds some depth and definition. So I like the fact that I did that. Now I'm just going to use the royal icing and then start gluing the city onto the bottom tier. Now while I'm gluing the city on here, I just want to give you guys a quick story time. This cake was so hard for me to make. This is actually the second cake I made because the first one turned out to be so horrible. I had a vision in my mind and it just did not turn out the way I thought it would. Honestly, you guys, I don't know what went wrong. I've made a million cakes before, but this one just looked very off. Like it didn't look like my best work, so I could not present this, you know, as my project. So I remade this cake, and lo and behold, this one that I remade fell. I kid you not, like it fell out of my hand. You're gonna see that in a second. So yeah, I mean, this is just to tell you guys, if you are having a hard time with a cake or something for a client, just know you're not alone. Like, it happens to the best of us. Yeah. So this is the part where I should have left the cake alone. I should have left it there, because as you see, I had a gold, like a gold board underneath, because I was gonna only do it 2 tiers. But I was like, you know what? I have this 10-inch in the fridge that I was gonna use for a different tutorial. Let me just go ahead and spray paint it or airbrush it the same way that I did the other one, and I'm going to use it for the bottom tier. Now, I just went ahead and did it the same exact way using the airbrush machine. I went with yellow, then blue, and then a little bit of black. And oh, I show you guys real quickly how I'm making the board. I'm just gonna glue 2 boards together so that it makes it a little bit more sturdy. That's a very quick and easy trick to use if you don't have, you know, like a cake drum, because those can be pretty expensive. So you can glue either 2 or 3 of the boards together and it'll look perfect. So I'm using my airbrush machine again, just so that the board has the same effect or the same look as the top of the cake. And this is where I messed up. So now this cake was in the fridge overnight. I lifted it and tried to place it on top, and it went off. Like, it literally fell to the ground and broke. I was devastated, you guys. Like, I literally wanted to cry. The video does stop there because I just was so annoyed that I went ahead and fixed it off camera. But I'm going to show you real quickly how I did that, okay? So all I did is, using some cake pop mix, I just kind of like remade the side of the cake that was crushed. You can kind of tell that it doesn't really look as good. And then I you know, iced it with actually royal icing, not even buttercream. And then I just airbrushed it the same as the rest of the cake. Once I was done, I realized that you could actually, you know, use it and it didn't look that bad. But at first I was kind of freaking out and I gave up on the cake. So anyway, continuing with the cake, I am just gonna roll out some yellow fondant. And I'm using a pasta machine because I want it to be the same thickness all around. And using a stencil that I had from, it was like a Batman stencil. I'll link it for you guys below if I can find it. I am going to just use my black royal icing and then make, y'all see what I did. I'm losing my train of thought. So once I am done with that, I'm gonna do it for, I think, 4 other designs, and then use a circle cookie cutter and then cut out circles and then put those circles to dry. The same way I did the city. So once I was done with those, I'm using an emblem cutter. So I'm using the back of it with an X-Acto blade, and I'm cutting out a yellow oval, and then using black fondant again, I'm going to cut out the actual Batman symbol. And then using some water, I'm gonna glue it to the oval. You guys know what the Batman symbol looks like, right? So I didn't like how bright yellow it was, so I'm gonna hit it with my airbrush machine with just some black around it to make it look a little bit more dark and mysterious. So I'm just using a little bit of my royal icing just to glue the emblems onto the top tier, and then the rest of the decorations onto the bottom tier. Make sure you let the decorations dry a little bit because you don't want to smudge the icing, the royal icing. And also the circle is going to be a lot easier to handle if it's a little dry. Like, honestly, it takes like 5 minutes to get to that level because there's Tylose powder in it. Now for the very top, I'm using a toothpick and I am gluing 2 of the circles together, and I'm just gonna put it right at the top. And then I have to finish off my board by covering the raw edges. Now I'm using a hot glue gun and black ribbon to just glue it all over the side. Cut off the excess and then glue it together. Now once I was done with this cake, honestly y'all, I was so tempted to throw it off this balcony. Like, I was done with Batman. Like, I could not stand to see it. But it's fine. I just decided to cut into it and show you guys what the inside actually looked like. It was really delicious. The part that I could eat. The back of it you can't eat because it was just cake pop mix. So yeah, I'm just gonna cut into it and show you guys what it looks like and burn this cake in a ceremonial bonfire. Adios, Batman. As always, guys, you can always check out my last video by clicking on this annotation to the left. All of my socials are at Janie's Sweet. You can check me out on Instagram as well as on Facebook. That is it for this week's tutorial, guys. I love you guys. I'll see you next time.